In this season of life, tell me something or some things that you're enjoying at this time.
This season of life for me starts at 1:30 on the 28th of October 2014. I was halfway through an angiogram and they stopped, and the people that were around me disappeared, and I started to get flushes down the back of my neck and chest pains, and I sort of said this was happening, and they said we sort of know about it. And the head surgeon man went down to Sally and said to her, I'm sorry, Mrs. Hanna, but your husband is going to die. There's nothing we can do to save him. But God had a different plan, and that plan was the start of the next season of my life. And in my heart and mind, I'm reaching out to God for what the reason is that He saved me, and I was tending towards a relationship answer with Him. A personal relationship answer was where I was tending in my thoughts. And a few days after I got home, I was accidentally reading Psalm 56. And the last few verses in Psalm 56 said, God, you have done everything you have promised, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. You have pulled me from the pit of death. You have saved me from the cliff edge of doom. And now I am strolling with God in the sunlit fields of life. That was God speaking to me. There was absolutely, sometimes there's doubts, but there was no doubt. That was God saying, I've done this thing and there's a reason. And that word stroll is the same word that God uses in Genesis when he's strolling with Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. And what he was doing with Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, he is wanting to do with me now at this stage of my life. We started in John 17, and then we liked it so much we did John 13, 14, and got to John 15. And I'm reading it. God, what are you saying? Get to verse 5. And it said, Jesus said, if you live in me and I live in you, that will be an intimate and organic relationship and will bear much fruit. Wow. Turn the lights on. It's like being with your best friend, just totally relaxed and enjoying each other's company. That would be the nearest picture I could paint, I guess.
If as a church we could do something to prepare people for the season of life that I'm just calling the mature years, the later years of life, have you given any thought to that, and what would that look like? What could we be doing to help people prepare for the later years of life?
I guess possibly the answer for me would be hearing people sharing their lives.
Yes.
That would be, you just learn so much from talking with people that have had stuff in their, had got stuff in their, ordinary stuff in their lives. Yeah. My understanding of the question is, what in your previous life, not in your previous life, in your life up to this point, yes. What have you got regrets, or are you disappointed, or what would you do differently in this point of your life? That's the question. That's good. What would you do differently in your life up to this point?
Okay.
And I absolutely shocked my wife last night by saying I'd do nothing differently. And I feel like a heretic for saying that.
Yes.
But in actual fact, what I've realised, and I was talking about Sue was going to hook into the plane, and she came up with the answer. She said, yeah, but all the stuff in our lives to this point have made me who I am now.
Yes.
And without the down bits and the bad bits and the testings and the hardships and all that stuff, without all that stuff, I wouldn't be who I am today. If I was a model Christian like Daniel or biblical characters, Enoch, if you lead a life like that, that's a rarity, I guess. But God gave me a human nature, and it doesn't surprise Him when that human nature gets it wrong or slips off or whatever. But God uses those to draw me to Himself. I guess in that area, two people have impacted me quite big, maybe three. David and Abraham were giants in the Bible, but they let God down at various points in their life. And Abraham let God down and he became a friend of God. David let God down, big time and became a man after God's own heart.
Yes.
And I love David's summary of that in Psalm 51, where he was real sorry for what he'd done, and he said, "A flawless performance is nothing to you, O God." One of my favourite verses. And that's a huge encouragement to me. And I guess in the modern day world, because I love reading books, Brennan Manning is one of my absolute favourites, because he was a godly man who did terrific stuff for God and was a real influence in retreats and speaking and so on, but he was an alcoholic. What that in our way, that's shocking. But what an encouragement that God used that man, and he was really, really aware of God's love. And I guess that's for me where at this stage of my life, I am so aware of God's love. God loves me truckloads, I know it, and it's beautiful.